And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tanya Talks. I'm your host, Tanya Ricketts, and tonight we are joined by Tahira Persaud. She's a mindset coach, and I guarantee that we are not going to be able to cover everything off in tonight's conversation because we are going to be talking about money and the challenges that we face when it comes to money. So I'm looking forward to Tahira, you sharing all your insights and us being able to have this wonderful conversation. We all want money flowing into our lives, and I guess really I just want to dive right in because we've got so much to pack in such an hour. Is what stops us all from receiving money flowing into our life?
That's a great question. Thanks for having me. What I think that stops us from having money into our life is not actually knowing exactly what our blocks are. So until we identify what those blocks may be, when we really sit down and think about maybe it's our speech, maybe it's our generational mindset, just sit down and really think what that mind block could be. I think that's first and foremost from stopping us to get where we want to go financially.
Right. So what are those generational, like give us an example of what that generational would look like, what it looks like generationally.
I think sometimes generationally, it could just be working extra hard for your money, as in maybe working two jobs or always saying, I'm broke or I have to pay this bill, so I can't do this. Or, well, I just gave the other person money, so I can't give it to you.
Right.
Or I'm not capable of doing this right now because I have something else to take care of. Right? We're always worried because we always feel like we don't have enough.
We're broke before we're broke before it even exists.
Absolutely.
It's like the broke
Absolutely.
mindset, right?
Yes.
You know, something comes up and all of a sudden your automatic default is I'm broke.
Absolutely. That's the first thing you say. Oh,
Right.
I'll do it, but I might be in a tight spot later.
Right.
Right?
And I like the one that when people are giving money and they're like, I only have, I'm just going to make up a figure. I only have $10,
Right.
but I'm going to give it to you anyways.
Right.
Or the famous one is, I don't have it to give, but here.
Right. But if you didn't
So,
have it to give, how were you capable of giving it?
right. It's either you have it or you don't.
Absolutely.
And I find that, again, it's that broke mentality going into it before you're even in it.
Absolutely.
So, how do we resolve that? I guess the question is, how do we open ourselves up? So, we always focus on this blockage. And I always like to remove being focused on the blockage and really focus on what we want. So, how do we open ourselves up? I guess would be the question, that we're not living with a mindset of broke. Like when we're giving money, how can we change that narrative? How can we change that conversation internally so that we're giving from a place of abundance and wealth within?
I think first is gratitude for the things that we already have. I think that we always think that the grass is always greener, so we want more and more and more.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we don't take the time to sit back and realize, like, hey, I have a roof over my head. I get to sleep in a bed. I ate today. I mean,
Yes.
small, simple gratitude can go a long way, and we don't realize how far it can go.
Right. Right.
So I think that to release some of those blocks, especially if we're talking about money and you want to be financially free and reach that abundance in your life, is again, first identifying what that block may be. Then, once you clarify what that block may be, then you just want to change your mindset around that. So it could be simply saying flows freely to me, or
Right.
my income surpasses my expenses. Whatever that resonates with you better, but changing your mindset and energy around money. And once you align that, and that's a certain practice that you can practice each day by showing up doing that, then you see the opportunities that may come your way. And once you see these opportunities, they might be weird at first because it's an uncomfortable situation that you haven't been in before, but you've opened up yourself to those opportunities, so take them.
Right.
So if
Right.
I said, hey, Tanya, thanks for having me on your show. This is just an example, but this is $2,000. That's up to me. And you are up to receiving it. So there's no right or wrong way to releasing those blocks, and opportunity can come from any place at any time. And
Right.
once you are opening up to receiving that, and those opportunities are open now you get to visualize what it's like. You get to visualize the feeling, you get to manifest the feeling. You know what it feels like to be in that place.
Right.
Once you can visualize and manifest that, I mean, your opportunities are limitless at that point.
For sure, 100%. It's interesting when you say, I always say, I've been saying this narrative for the last few weeks for whatever reason. I've been saying it out loud on the show. And it's the most unselfish thing that somebody can ever do is learn how to receive. So, a lot of times I see two things that I want to touch upon is that you said, we're giving from a space where we're already broke. Well, I don't have it to give, but here. And changing that mindset is if you didn't have it to give, you're right, we couldn't give it. So you have it to give. So it's that gratitude that goes with it, that I'm in a position to share. And when we change our mindset to sharing and we're giving from that grateful heart, that gratitude that you're giving with it has to come back. And then all of a sudden, as you say, somebody gives you $2,000. A lot of times is when we're dealing with money, like a scarcity mindset, we feel bad to receive that money. So all of a sudden it's like, well, why? Why are you giving it to me? Well, what's this for? Well, no, you didn't have to, versus simply being in a place that you're open to receiving and saying thank you.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're participating in something. I like to bring spiritual components to it, where you're participating in something greater than yourself. You equally have to be giving and receiving in order to participate in the balance of life.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, just even for myself, when I first realized that I had this scarcity mindset and realized that I'm working a lot, but I feel like, not very many opportunities are coming my way. And I do want to be financially free. It's something that I would love to have in my life, right? And when that first, let's say, check came my way, at first it was an uncomfortable situation. I was, I felt, I didn't feel deserving of it.
Mm.
I felt, what did I do to receive this? But I've always wanted it. So my mindset wasn't fully there. And I realized, hey, that's where my block is. Maybe I just didn't feel like I deserved it at that moment. So
Right.
why am I not deserving of it? So I made what my block was very clear, and I had to change my mindset around that. And as soon as I saw what my block was and I changed my mindset around that, my opportunities were endless.
Right.
They were they
Absolutely.
were endless. Even to a point where someone was like, "Oh, hey, I just took out too much money. Here's $100. Thank you."
That's
It's
it.
really, I mean, it could be something so small, but
Right.
if someone didn't have that money to give you for whatever reason that they're giving it to you, they wouldn't have. And it's absolutely
Absolutely.
for a reason that you may not understand, but it's coming from their understanding.
Absolutely.
So
Well, I
then,
had somebody writing in here saying, I like to say my account is replenishing and I bless the money I spend so it blesses those it reaches, and bless the money coming in. So you're blessing the money going out and the blessing coming in. As I'm listening to you talk, what I hear is the understanding that as participators in the giving and the receiving is that we have to be in a position that if we're in a scarcity place, we're going to attract people that are giving to us with this, like what you said, I don't have it to give. We're just recycling that scarcity mindset.
right. And I think when we talked about at the beginning of the show, that generational mindset, I think it
Mhm.
passes down, right? We just keep passing that scarcity mindset. Oh, well, we're broke. We don't have enough. You have to work extra hard to get where you're going. And I'm a firm believer of part of that. I mean, I'm very spiritual and I believe that God helps those who help themselves. So we wake up intentionally and we do those things purposely to get where we're going. But we still have to be open to
Right.
receiving along the way.
Hmm. Absolutely. I like the way that you put it, like, in the sense that we're not preparing ourselves for the opportunity to receive. So when we receive, it's like, well, why are you giving this to me? And it's preparing ourselves to be in a place of joy to receive. We have to prepare ourselves so when those opportunities present itself, we are receiving with an enormous amount of joy.
Absolutely. And I think it all starts again with just our mindset, right? Where do we feel comfortable? Do we think we're worthy enough?
Hmm.
Right? Like, where's our gratitude coming from? So I think when that's all aligned, we can also align where we feel our money blocks are, and now then we're open to receiving that money. Because
Right.
I think again, everyone's dream is to be financially free.
Yes.
But then how are you doing it?
Right. And
That's the
especially
question.
women, I'm not sure why, but I think that women struggle a little bit more in the area of receiving. And I think it goes with the history of martyrism that were these big martyrs. So I think it filters over into the financial area for women as well. When you talk about the worthiness, it reminds me, the word that comes to my mind is relationships. And I know that when I was going through my own, opening up and working through my own scarcity, I remember taking like a large sum of money and I held it in front of me and I went into the mirror and I looked at the money and I looked at the mirror and I started to cry. And it was like I looked at it and I felt very disconnected from money. And I said, well, why is this? And I realized in that moment that worthiness, that relationship with money, my association with money was that I couldn't be trusted. It belonged to everybody else but me. So I looked at it and I couldn't even receive it as being a possibility. And I'm holding my own large amount of money. So it doesn't matter whether you have $1 million or $100. That relationship you have, that belief system you have, as you talk about that worthiness of yourself, filters through with your relationship with money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel that I definitely resonate with that. With maybe not feeling worthy at the time, or I'm not lucky enough, or well, they maybe worked harder than I did, so
Yeah.
they deserve it, right? Or you just, everyone has their own story.
I like the story where, oh my gosh, like if only I, like, like you said it when you said it, lucky enough, like, I don't have that kind of luck. They
Right.
do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, with aligning your mindset to something, to clarity, just clarity of your own understanding of where you want to go and where you visualize yourself. It's you it's not luck, but I mean, you have the opportunity to control it yourself, to see where it goes, right?
And I think it just has to do with how open you are too, because, we talk about success and I just think it just, life is just about how open you are to receiving just in general.
Right.
If you're open to being lucky your entire life has to prove you, I know we've had offline conversation and, belief kills, belief cures. If you say it is, then you're right. If you say it's not, then you're right. If you believe that you're a lucky person and this is your paradigm, then your life is always going to look lucky. If
Absolutely.
so it's really understanding that, changing that from it being about everybody else, but it's okay to be about you too,
Hmm.
right?
I think that people are uncomfortable when you talk
Mm,
about being you, right? Because
right.
when you're talking about, okay, well, me and money, well, I don't want to sound greedy, I don't want to sound
Yes.
selfish, right? Oh, I'm not going to tell them how much I made, or I'm not going to tell them what that. But it's not greedy. You opened up to receiving that. So now you just have to be grateful.
Right.
You've visualized, you've changed your mindset, you removed your block. Now you just have to be open to receiving, and your opportunities are limitless.
Right. Yes.
Right? Why does it have to be looked at as selfish or greedy? It's not. You took that upon yourself to every day wake up with the intention of being financially free, and it's okay to be happy
Hmm.
about that and to talk about it if you like to.
Right. Well, and when you say talk about it like you like to, what comes to my mind, and I think that individuals are very afraid to say, especially being, and I'm just going to say it for what it is, because I travel back and forth to the US, and there seems to, we're from Canada, for all of those of you watching, we're from Canada, and in the Canadian culture just seems to have a different mindset where it's not about the money.
Right.
Or, I've traveled over to the US side, and there seems to be a different narrative. It's like, well, how am I making money? Right?
Right.
It's just two different mindsets, and you understand why they are so far advanced. They know their worth, they know their value, they know, even if it isn't a value, they believe it, and they're just open. This is what it is.
Well, it's good to be, and it's hard to see your worth at sometimes when you just don't trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Trust is a big part of it. If you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust the process, where do you start?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's very hard. And sometimes it can be difficult, right?
Right.
When you're coming to that part of mistrust, like if you don't trust something, you're never gonna try it. And also fear of, if I invest in this, will I even have more money later on?
Mm-hmm.
If I even invest in myself, what would that mean? I've never done that before.
Right.
But if you feel that you're already at rock bottom, where like my question is, how far can you fall if you're already
Right.
at the bottom, right?
Well, because then there's that whole association, like the guilt and the fear factor. And I do know, because I've had enough conversations with individuals around that have shared, what will people think? And
Right.
it's like, who cares? What will be? Let me tell the world something. Tahira, you and I both know people are going to talk about you regardless, whether you're doing something good, bad. Like, everybody's going to have something to say. Would you prefer them to talk about you being broke and struggling, or rich and successful?
Absolutely. And I choose rich and successful for me.
Right. So what will people say? Well, and then I find that there's like this contradiction, not even contradiction, that there's this we're standing in our own ways, because on one hand, we want this money to flow into our life. And then on the other hand, we're like, but we don't want it to change. Like, we're creating another story around it. And it's just like the universe likes clarity.
Absolutely.
It just wants to know what you want, and it wants to deliver it to you. And it doesn't even want to know what you want. It wants you to be it, financially wealthy and abundant. That's it. I want to take it in this direction for just a moment. And one of the things that I had to come to terms with when I was going through my own, coming over my own scarcity and poverty mindset, was, I remember actually saying it out of nowhere to somebody, it was like this pent up unconscious anger when I said, it is about the money. And I'm never going to say it's not about the money again. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like facing that worst fear of actually declaring, what am I doing this for if it's not about the money? And I was like, it was in that moment, it was like a sense of relief. It was a sense of empowerment, but a sense of fear at the same time. Like, what did I just say? How can I be? Oh my gosh, like, you feel dirty, you feel happy, you feel all these different emotions.
Right.
That I just never allowed myself to say it's about the money.
But it was good that you realized that, because I feel not just you or just not me, a lot of people, we are our own blocks.
Right.
We talk ourselves up, we talk ourselves down, and we talk ourselves to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So when you allowed yourself to say it out loud, you just gave yourself the permission to feel all of those things, right?
Absolutely.
But if you never felt how it felt to be free when you said it, you would have never known what it felt like.
Oh, it was like, I was so liberated, scared,
Yeah.
And I have somebody writing in. I have Tara out there. Thank you for watching, Tara. I have manifested money when I needed it, or manifested opportunities for success, but learned recently I was putting a limit on my success. My son helped me see it, as he did not have the same limits for me. I think that's beautiful.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I totally agree. I think that sometimes we don't see our worth that somebody else sees within us. And it's amazing that she was allowed to be open to that feedback.
Right.
Right. And sometimes people aren't open to that feedback because they're like, what are you talking about? That's not me.
Right.
But right. And sometimes it can be true. You get defensive right away instead of being open to receiving that feedback, and
Right.
allowing her to be open to that feedback. She was open to more possibilities and opportunities from there.
Hmm. Absolutely. So thank you, Tara, for writing that in and sharing that with us. So, I'm challenging everyone out there that to add into the equation and allow yourselves to declare without anything added to it that it is about the money. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. You haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing to be feel guilty about. It is about the money to feed your family. It is about the money to have a healthy life, and it requires it, it takes it. And I'm speaking out of my own experience, there's some freedom that takes place. And when you declare it, it's like it opens up on a spiritual level, it opens up this energy portal, and it says, okay, now I can deliver something that's of value to you. You value money, and you value money is really just a tool. It's here to enhance and complement our life. It allows us, we hear it all the time, it allows us to do things and help people and create projects and to fulfill things. So it is about the money.
It is. And again, we just have to know our worth regarding it, visualizing to be, and being okay with that uncomfortable situation.
Right.
Once you're okay with that uncomfortable situation or saying those words out loud, you're definitely ready to be open to receiving.
Absolutely. And that's not the only, but one of the ways we get money flowing.
Absolutely.
More easily. The other aspect of it sometimes I find, and I have little notes here because I feel like there's so much to cover that we're just not going to get it all. But I know that, when working with people sometimes we hang on to the money so much we don't know how to let it go. And that also comes, like I call it hoarding. We hoard this money, and that also comes from a scarcity mindset. Again, money has to flow.
Right.
It has to flow.
Absolutely. Even if you say money flows easily to me every single day, you have to put that feeling with those words.
Right.
You can't just say the words, right? That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
You want to change your vocabulary in order to change your mindset as well, but you have to put that feeling towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you have to realize that money showed up. It showed up once, so it can show up again. It's not just going to show up once and then just say, okay, hey, it was nice knowing you. If it can do it once, it can do it twice, it can do it 3 times. You know what I mean? So having that gratitude to say, I know how it feels, I have it, thank you.
Yes.
And also let it go.
Right. Right. And I don't, that letting it go, I look at it from the perspective of, when we're putting it out there, I'm sure, let me take it a little bit sideways here. Everybody has abundance in them. I'm sure that there are areas of your life that you feel free to let go of things. And for some reason, it just keeps coming back into your life more than you expected. And you're right, tapping into that feeling, and it's taking that feeling and understanding how you captured in that area of your life and allowing that to be spilled over to money. And I'm only going to share my little secret that I noticed years ago. I'm very free giving food. You come to my house, and for some reason, my fridge is just overstocked, and I'm like, guys, and I feel very free to give it out.
Right.
And it's having that same feeling as you're talking about with money. Just feel free to let it go. Just let it go.
Absolutely. Again, if it showed up, I mean, if you keep saying that your fridge is continuously with food, it's just rotating food all the time. It's showing up.
Right.
It's continuously doing that.
So Shar says in here, it replenishes. It, you know,
Absolutely.
so thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing that it's replenishing, because yes, your bank account's always replenishing. It's always replenishing itself.
Yeah.
And it always shows up unexpectedly from, places that you least expect, right? Let's talk about the relationship with money. Let's go back to that a little bit. And how can we cultivate a healthier relationship with money, um, by understanding the purpose of money? When one understands what the purpose, the purpose of money and what it represents for them in their unique life. What?
I think it's different for everyone, like you were saying. It's on a unique basis. And again, just going back to seeing what that block is and really clarifying what that is. And when you visualize and putting that feeling together, I think that's where it really starts. I feel like we have the idea that money's great or the world revolves around money, but do we know what it feels like? Are we believing in that? Are we trusting ourselves to trust the process? Are we allowing that to happen? And I think we just need to sit back to realize what our relationship with money is and what we want it to be and how we can get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from taking those small steps, even if it's just writing it down or putting feeling to words or visualization or manifestation, whatever you feel comfortable with, but taking that time to sort that out. Because again, like you said, the universe wants clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not clear about how to open, or you're not clear of what that feeling feels like, or you're not clear where that money wants to go or how it's going to go,
I like the way you said that. Yeah.
um, then I think we just need to take a step back and revisit what that relationship you have with money is.
Mm-hmm. There's a Japanese individual that, I don't remember his name. I think something Honda. He talks about happy money, and as I'm listening to you, that's who came to my mind, is happy money. And a lot of us are in jobs that we're not happy with our jobs. We do it with a paycheck, and that's the relationship we have with ourselves, the value we have with ourselves. I believe that we have one life to live, and we deserve to be happy in the way in which we receive our money. We deserve to feel good about it. Um, being grateful that you have money, but at the same time contradicting you. And you talked about the universe and clarity and that spirituality. Being grateful that you have the money coming through this job, at the same time not liking the job you're in because of the toxicity in the environment. There's a disconnect there,
Absolutely.
right? It's like if your finger's hurting or you have a deep cut on your finger, it affects the rest of your body because you're in pain. So there's still a level of pain that's existing within the aura and in the sphere of the body if you're in a job that you don't like, yet you're just happy with the money.
Right. I think it also has to do with um our intent. So when I say intent, I mean we can't keep doing the same things and wanting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
That's with anything in life,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're going to the same job that you don't like, right? But you know that you're getting a steady paycheck and it's providing for you in ways that is working for you right now, what are you doing each day to change your situation if you don't like it?
Mm-hmm.
What everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. A billionaire does, someone that's in middle class, someone that's lower class, whatever it is, we all have the same 24 hours. What are we doing with it?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing when you wake up with intent and purpose to change a situation that you don't like? You have to trust yourself and put yourself in control of that.
And that trust, I know I went through this work myself personally, that trust that is within you.
Absolutely.
You have to know, it's like you saying, I was just, talking to somebody about it, where you have to trust. If your tape's playing that money doesn't flow easily to me, well, evidence has to prove that money doesn't come easily to you. So it's all evidence based. So you have to trust that you are capable of producing the evidence, the reality of your life to be financially abundant.
Yeah.
That money does flow easily to you. That you've sown enough financial seeds. You have to realize, as simple as it is, whether you're grocery shopping, whether you're giving a gift to somebody, a financial gift, a birthday gift, or you're putting something out there, and you have to trust at some point that it will filter back into you.
Absolutely.
And tonight, everybody, we are talking about specifically money. There, we can go into all different avenues for those of you watching. Tonight is specifically about money. So we want to understand that what we put out there, we come back. So for every dollar you put out, be happy with it, be thankful, and thank it for coming back to you 1,000-fold. Right?
Absolutely. Again, if it happened one time, it can happen more than once.
Right.
Right? It can happen more than once, always.
I always, say to people, write out exactly when you talked about purpose and intention, that intention and that clarity. Sometimes it's easier for us to receive that, the flow of money coming into our life, as you say, when we understand it, when we have that feeling, that connection as to why. And sometimes it's okay to give yourself permission to say, I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't feel good receiving money?
Absolutely. But even if it's I don't know why, it's again absolutely what you're talking about, is maybe even just putting that happy feeling towards it. That, how did you feel when you received it? I felt good.
Right.
I was grateful. Thank you so much. Even if it's that gratitude piece that you put with it, that happy feeling that you put with it, you definitely put a feeling towards what it feels like to have money.
Right. And that's what it does. It feels good. And I want everybody to be able, anybody watching, I'd like them to walk away being comfortable saying, you know what, admitting, that coming face to face with the truth. You can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging the fact that it actually feels good to have a healthy amount of money flowing into my life. And capturing that feeling of, it feels good to have a healthy amount. And yes, it feels good. And that understanding that I deserve to be happy. And this is an area of my life that also makes me happy, just like our kids make us happy, or our spouses make us happy, or there's things in our life that make us happy. Money makes us happy too.
And putting that feeling towards it, just like you're talking about, is once you do that, once you try to implement that feeling as much as you can, it now doesn't become uncomfortable.
Right.
When you receive it. You're like, oh, I've been here before. I know how it feels.
Right. I've been here before.
Okay, I'm okay with this. Yeah. I'm okay with this. Right?
It's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel that once we have that feeling and that understanding, I feel a lot of times when we have that clarity as human beings in anything in our life, it has to show up. So whether, I want to be very clear that I'd like money because I'd like to get a new car, or I'd like to, put my kids through school, or, whatever that is, I'd like to buy a house, or I'd like to start a project and open up a charity, or whatever it is that you want to do. When you really have that pure intent of clarity, you actually automatically go into a gratitude mode. It feels like you've released it and you just have to really sit still. And I like the way you put it, like you just spend more time being in there. So when it shows up, it's not uncomfortable. You've been there already. I have somebody writing in said, I learned when I worry, I am contracted. Sorry, it's fine print. I don't have glasses on. When I let it go, believe it all, it will all work, be good, and stay in the flow. I'm able to stay open to receiving. Absolutely. And that's what we're talking about. It's just letting it go and being open. And when you're worried, you are correct. It's contracted and you are closed and there's no energy flowing through it. And that was Tara. So Tara, thank you for continuing to watch, but you are correct. We want to really have our pathways clear and open. And it's important to, spend a moment and write out and say, thank you. I love being financially wealthy, and see what that feels like to you. What does it feel like to write out? And I'm speaking to everybody. And I'm also speaking to us women because I find that women, we have, again, a more challenging time. And I know only because I've had offline conversations with women and we've talked about the guilt, feeling greedy, looking greedy. It feels good. And I'm very grateful that I'm financially wealthy. What does that feel like?
Absolutely. Just get used to the feeling.
Right.
Instead of just saying, okay, well, I don't know what it feels like. Okay, visualize what it feels like. Right? What does it look like to you? If that money came your way, what would you do with it? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So having that clarity in the universe saying, I know exactly what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm open to receiving it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know we had this conversation, and not just with you, I've had this conversation with many individuals, especially now that we are in a pandemic and a lot of people are reassessing and they're going out on their own and they're starting businesses and it's a very scary place. And I think it's so important. A lot of people are giving things away for free.
Mhm.
And they're giving things away for free because they don't trust that they're able to support themselves through this. So they end up giving out more than what's coming in. And I've spoken to a lot of people that feel betrayed in the process of it. So it's so important to also have boundaries with when you take care of yourself and you honor your truth, then you're also keeping yourself open to having it flow.
Absolutely. I think trusting yourself to know where you see yourself and where you want it to go. I mean, starting your own businesses can be absolutely scary.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely. Because you think, okay, well, I don't know. You come from a place of I don't know, or what if, or a but. But but when I'm going to say but, you have to trust yourself in that process, right? You are that backbone of whatever your passion, whatever you're trying to execute, it's coming from you.
Right.
You have a unique talent that no one else can give out. So you need to trust yourself and know that you're deserving of everything that you want. Right? So the first thing is trusting yourself and allowing yourself to fail forward.
Mm.
So you trying is not, okay, I failed. It was a learning experience. You've learned. Now, how do I curve that? I can be better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can trust myself to be better because I'm worth more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when we own our truth, now who can beat your unique passion? No one. No one can beat your uniqueness at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we just need to trust ourselves in that process.
Right.
I know that we are worth more and we deserve more.
Mm-hmm. And you're putting in that worthiness, so like trusting ourselves that what we have to offer, we have to trust that what we have to offer is of value. You know that you're putting the work into it, and what you have to offer is, you don't have to give it away for free. You
Absolutely
know,
not.
I think that as human beings, I think that we are very, very good at giving, and we have to learn more how to receive. I mean, and not only that, I think that we have to stop. You know, a lot of times when I hear people talk about money, you know, they're like, well, I get it, I'll share it. You already mastered sharing.
Right.
Now, please master receiving.
Hmm.
You know, if you get $10, just your nature will share out of the $10 that you have. You have to learn how to be able to receive and be able to, it's like putting your oxygen mask on. When you receive, you also have to be able to keep something for yourself. You don't have to
Absolutely.
give it all away. So there's some boundaries that I think you have to set up. It's sometimes we receive money into our lives, but we're broke again because we're too busy giving it out, giving it out, giving it out, but we don't set that boundary up. So we create the opportunities, we go through and we open ourselves up, and then we're still not financially happy, stable. And that is because we haven't created that balance.
Absolutely.
And
I definitely agree with the balance because I think it comes from a place again of clarity of when we receive it. Where
mhm.
was it going? Where was it? Where did you see yourself going with it when you received it?
Especially when you are financially successful and you do all the work to, and I'm speaking,
Absolutely.
you know, hello, you know, and you do all that work to get to that place where you want to be. And then you feel bad about it. And you feel guilty about it because you see others around you in a position. And, you know, that eventually does stop money flowing into your life as well. That is another layer of a blockage. And it's important that you keep that channel open. I have somebody writing in saying, I get stuck in the mentality of constantly giving and becoming comfortable with not receiving. However, I feel like it returns to me in other ways. And Lolo, you are absolutely right about that, that it does come to you in other ways. Um, I'm just going to call it the way I feel it with everybody watching, with your comment on however I feel like it returns to me in other ways. Yes, it does. And I want it to return to you and everybody else in other ways and financially too, with money, because it is an abundant world. And I believe that you and everybody else listening deserves to be able um, to have financial wealth. I just believe that we have one life and we're here to be on heaven on earth is my favorite. You know, you say the prayer on earth as it is in heaven. Well, this is heaven for me, so I want it to be heaven. So, but thank you very much, Lolo, for sharing that because it resonates with me. Been there. Um, and she writes in, "Yes, ma'am, I received that. Yay!" um, it's just so important that we create healthy boundaries with ourselves where money's concerned. It feels good when you are taking care of yourself and you're creating those boundaries. You feel more empowered.
Yeah, I
So,
absolutely agree.
mhm,
Well, self care. Once you take care of yourself and you become a better version of yourself, you can definitely now help other people become better versions of themselves, even
yes,
if it's by small acts. It
mhm,
doesn't matter what it can be. Those small acts, you already know what it feels like because you've worked and invested in yourself to be that better person. So it doesn't
absolutely.
matter if it comes from a place of gratitude or you gave someone $5.
Hmm.
They would, I'm telling you, even if you gave someone $5, if I received $5, look what I got today. I got $5. I'm so happy. Thank you. You were open to receiving that whenever it came,
Right, right.
even if it's a small act.
When you said $5, it triggered me. I really have to find the video. I did this in my hometown. I did this experiment, not a social experiment. I did this experiment with money. And I took a bunch of $5 bills and I went around the neighborhood and I posted them on light posts and I posted them in bus shelters. And on it, I said, money does come easily, enjoy, or something like that. And I left them there and I was driving around and nobody took the money. The money was sitting there. A week later, some of the bus shelters still had the $5 bill sitting there. And I took my sister with me and I said, we pulled up and we watched one of the bus shelters and we saw people standing in the bus shelters not taking the $5. And I was like, guys, this is like free money. Like I'm leaving $5 for it. And I'm telling, with the big note, this is, the money does come easily here, enjoy. And no one took the money.
But it's true. I think it all has to do with everyone's just like, that's not mine. I didn't work for that.
Right.
I don't know who that belongs to.
Fear of who's watching.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I'm not going to take that in front of everyone.
Yes. The pride.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of just saying, hey, thanks for the $5.
Because there was a big note on the $5 bills.
Right.
And it was in all these bus shelters. And I thought this would be really cool. Like, let's see, let's go out and surprise. Like, how wouldn't you like to get up in the morning, go to the bus shelter on your way to work and whoa, $5.
Absolutely.
Saying, take me, right? And these people wouldn't take this money. And it started to make me really realize how much we are not open to receiving money, but yet everybody wants more money flowing into their life.
And it's that uncomfortable feeling, just like you said, when everyone's watching, like, I'm not going to take that. Are you going to take it?
Right.
Well, I don't know if you're going to take it. I'm not going to take it if you're not going to take it. Right. It's that uncomfortable feeling like, okay, I don't know what's going to go on. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Right. I didn't work for that. It wasn't mine. I don't know who put it there. It's all those questions. Instead of saying, okay, thank you.
Right. Or what about, I'm going to touch on this one because I know that we've had offline conversations. What about for, we've all been here where we've received, some of money and we feel bad receiving it because we're like, oh, they can't afford it. I can't receive this. And why are we putting bad feelings into receiving a gift if they couldn't afford to give it to us? And why are we feel guilty, they can't afford it. Then they wouldn't have given it to us.
Absolutely.
Just receive it, bless it, and pray that it comes back to them tenfold. Just say thank you. Just why are we adding stories and adding narratives around it? Sometimes people like to give but are not open to receiving. I've had to tell a friend and my husband when we were dating, by not receiving, they are robbing others the joy of giving. Absolutely, Tara, you are so true. We're robbing individuals of their own ability to. There is a joy in giving.
Absolutely. There's a joy in giving, but as much as we give and we like that feeling, let's just curve that feeling into liking receiving as well.
Absolutely. Again, there's the most unselfish thing that you can.
Absolutely. As much as we like to give, and people always say, well, I'm a giver. I'm a giver. That's just how I am. That's who I am. That's absolutely fine. But as much as you're willing to give, you absolutely need to be willing to receive.
Yes. So what should that narrate? We should add that. I'm a receiver. I'm a receiver.
Absolutely. Say that every single day. I am a receiver. I am worthy of receiving it. I am open to receiving it.
Right. Absolutely. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I had deliberately gone out, and one of the guests on the show, she says, yeah, I was the recipient. I had gone out and I had, people would wake up and they would find money, Interact transfers, I guess in the US, they call it Venmo.
Okay.
Sent people money. And the amount of responses like, why are you doing this? Why are you giving this to me? And it was just like, I don't know, because I always have this narrative in my mind that when I receive money in my life, I always ask the question, who am I blessing today? So if I receive $1, my automatic narrative is, who am I blessing today? Who am I blessing today? Who am I blessing today? Because I just want to participate in that whole giving and receiving. And I'm happy to receive because it allows me, as Tara says, it does both. It allows you to receive and give, receive and give. And it also allows me to receive something for myself and then set my boundaries. And it's a beautiful thing.
But it's a circle. It's a great revolving circle, right? It doesn't have to be a one-way road.
Yes, yes.
Right? It doesn't have to be one way. It can be both ways.
Absolutely. And it's fun. So Tara says, let's create reciprocity, my friend. So we welcome that. And Lolo says, I am worthy of receiving abundance. You absolutely are.
You absolutely are. Absolutely.
So I also want to just really quickly, we've got 9 minutes left of the show. I want to say this because Ileana Van Zandt, I believe her name is, she had made a very interesting comment about her own personal challenges with wealth and money. And she's like, I'm making $1 million, but yet I'm still broke. Because she had a mindset that I get paid Thursdays. So her brain told her that she had to deplete all of her money in order for money to come into her life. And I thought, how many people live from this state? Your brain tells you, that feeling tells you, that emotion tells you that the only way to receive money in your life, and I've been here in a different way, the identity, being identified, I identified myself as somebody being poor. And it terrified me, the idea of being wealthy, because then it was all of a sudden people didn't need me. There were, they didn't want to give to me. Everybody likes to receive something. They wouldn't want to give me something because, oh, she's wealthy. She doesn't need anything. Well, we all require something in life. It just feels good to receive as much as it feels good to give. So she had to dissolve the mindset that money didn't have to come into her life because it was gone, that she could have an abundance of physical liquid cash in her life and still have money come in. So I'm sure that speaks to a lot of people out there when we are living paycheck to paycheck or you're living hand to mouth, that you have to understand that you don't have to wait for money to be gone in order for it to be replenished into your life.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And when you really think about it, money is energy, right? And when we put that positive energy into money and we put that positive mindset into money, we can only have a positive outcome because we are practicing that positivity and surrounding ourselves, strengthening that energy of money, right? Once we put negative, we get a negative outcome. When we spend it positively, we get a positive and an abundant outcome. Right? So it's just how you decide to show up and look at it.
So anybody out there, your relationship and how you feel about receiving, it's more than just your relationship with money. It's let's continue to use the word receiving. The relationship you have with how you receive in life, a compliment, anything, it also relates to money as well. So we really, really want to create a healthy mindset in how you receive money. So for anybody watching, I'm putting out vibes in the universe that you guys are blessed in unexpectedly financially blessed. And I'm challenging God out there to bless everybody financially. And let's see where you're at and how open you are to receiving financial wealth to come into your life. So if it's 10 cents you find on the floor, if it's $5 that you come into, or you get that business deal, or your business opens up, or somebody unexpectedly blesses you with a large sum of money, or opens a door for you for your financial wealth, your financial independence. Let's see how open you are to receiving. Tara, thank you. I received that. So Tara writes in, thank you, and to you too. Yes, and we are all there. I'm all for it. I think about when I think about all the things that I've been called to do as a purpose in life, it requires finances. And for my own self, when I started to understand and have clarity as to what I've been called to do purposefully, living with intention, living with meaning and purpose, I understood at that moment that it was responsible for me to be open to being financially wealthy and independent because it allows me to fulfill my calling and my purpose. For me, not everybody has that calling and purpose that they can attach to it. And that's why we go back to the feeling. You have to be clear as to why. Not everybody wants to be a millionaire. Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. Some people, like, you have to define what that looks like for you. But once you can come to that place of clarity, intention, and purpose, and that intention and purpose may be, I don't know, it just feels good, then you really are open to let it appear, and then let's see where you're at. Right?
Absolutely.
Is there one last nugget that you have for our audience this evening on how they can be open to having money flow into their life?
I think just changing your mindset about money and taking that energy, because again, like I said, money is energy. Taking that positive energy and just thinking about money, slowly just start thinking about money in a different way, realizing that you're worthy of it, you're worthy of receiving it, and allowing yourself to be open up to receiving that. And once you are open up to the receiving that, you're on your way. Your opportunities are limitless, and get comfortable with that feeling of being happy to receiving that money.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Get comfortable with the feeling of the money flowing into your life. I know I
Absolutely.
put it in my own
Yeah,
words, but it's
absolutely.
really being emotionally comfortable. And again, I'm going to bring it to a little bit of a scientific. It's once you're right, once that emotional feeling happens, I say it again, it sends a signal to the brain. That signal to the brain based on the emotional feeling, especially when we're in a gratitude place about it, sends a signal to the brain. It's the highest form of energy that opens us up. And we're grateful for all this money that we already received in our hearts. It has to show up.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So I love it. Guys, thank you very, very, very much for tuning in this evening. We didn't cover half of what, I typically don't make notes, but I knew that it was such a loaded topic for me. We didn't even touch on half. I tried to dive into as much as I could on a rush, but thank you guys for all tuning in. Tahira, thank you for being here this evening to talk about money with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice.
Absolutely.
And, I'm looking forward to you being back again as a guest on the show on Tanya Talks. I'd like you guys to join me tomorrow. I will have Tamara Goslin on the show. She'll be talking about forgiveness, on how forgiveness can set us free. So I'm looking forward also to that conversation. If you would like to learn how you can take your life to the next level, please visit thetanyaexperience.com. I'm ready to work with you to help you take your life to the next level. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow. Good night. Thanks, Tahira.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.